Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Simple Tutorial. If you're a new viewer, you are welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for returning. Click on the subscribe button if you've not subscribed and join this family. I always share kids, dressmaking and hair accessories. If this is what you want to be learning about, kindly click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification post so that whenever I upload a new video, you will not be missing out. You'll be the first person to view it. So let's go into the making of this simple high-low peplum dress, and it is for a child of 3-year-old. So for the material I used Akara African print and a satin to line it, 10 yards of net and another satin to line the net, and you can also use a lining. So I'll go ahead and draft out the upper body. So the lines I marked, the first line is my starting line and the second line is my zipper line. I'm cutting both the front and the back together. And I went ahead and took my shoulder measurement of 4.5 inches and I marked my neckline of 2 inches width and 2.5 inches depth for the front, and for the back I took 1 inch depth for the back, and I'll connect it. I'll connect the both of them, and I'll connect to the half inch I came down from the shoulder width. The shoulder I came down half an inch from there. If you've been watching my tutorials, you should be familiar with this process. And I'll go ahead and mark my chest line. From the shoulder, I'll mark 5 inches from the shoulder. So this line is my chest line, and the next thing is for me to mark my waistline. I'm using a waistline of 9.5 plus my half inch allowance to join to the skirt part, that's 10 inches. I'll mark the two of them as well. And on the chest line, I'll put exactly what I have on my shoulder point, 4.5, and I'll join it to the half inch I came down from the shoulder. So on this shoulder, I'll get the midpoint. On this armhole length, rather, I'll get the midpoint. And on my chest line, I will input 5.5. That is quarter of the chest circumference. I'm working with a chest circumference of 22 inches. Quarter of it is 5.5 plus my 1 inch seaming allowance. I will put exactly what I have on my chest on my waist as well. The chest circumference and the waist circumference of the child is the same thing. So I will join my curve. I'll draw my curve with my ruler, and on the shoulder I will add half an inch for the joining allowance. So I'll take my scissors and cut through the back neckline first before cutting through the front neckline. So I'll cut it across through the back neckline first, then I'll separate and trim off for the front. So this is what my pattern looks like. I will label as my back, which is in 2 pieces, and my front is cut on fold. So this is what they have if I am making a dress with normal shoulder. But since I will be cutting out a yoke, I will place them back together and mark out my yoke line. So from the shoulder point, not from that half inch allowance, from the main shoulder point, I'll come down by 4 inches. 4 inches is just fine for this child, but if you want it a bit revealed, if you want the chest part a bit revealed, you can come down by 4.5 or 5 inches. So this is my yoke that I'm labeling, and I'm marking half an inch that I'll be adding it. This indicates that I'll be adding half an inch to that down part while cutting on my net material. So as I've cut it out, the zipper allowance does not have to get to the back neckline because I'll be using a button. So I'm folding in the zipper and I'll label it as my back yoke and my front yoke. So since I've not trimmed off the front neckline, I'll trim it off now. So my front yoke will be cut on fold while my back yoke will be cut twice. So I'm indicating an arrow upwards that I will add half an inch to those parts. The half an inch will help me in joining both the main bodice and the yoke together. So I have my front part and my side part. This is the back part, and for the yoke the same thing. I will use this bodice and cut on my lining and on my African print, and this I'll use to cut on the net. So I finished cutting them, and as you can see, I added half an inch to the upper part on the African print and on the lining. I cut it out on the African print and on the lining, and the back is times 2 for the lining and for the main fabric. And for my yoke, you can as well see that I added half an inch to the down part. This will enable me to join without any shortage. So I've placed my material like so, and I'll place right side facing right side the main material African print, and I'll join with half an inch that I left while drafting. Likewise, I will do the same to the lining. And for my yoke, I will lace the front together. I have two pieces each, two pieces of each net, the front and the back, and I will turn the neckline and the armhole, the neckline and the armhole. I will do the same thing for the back. For the back, I have 4 pieces, 2 for each side. I will turn the neckline and the armhole too. And on that end, I will put a button loop on this end. I'll put a button loop. So after doing that, this is what I have, and I've ironed my seam open both for the lining and for the African print. My yoke is already sewn, the neckline and the armhole are neatly sewn. So, and when you are sewing, make sure it will accommodate that front part, and an allowance of about half inch will be left on both sides. So this is our half inch on both sides that I'll use to join. I'll leave half inch as well. My zipper allowance is actually half inch. I didn't use up to 1 inch. So this is my button loop that I've fixed, and after placing it here, I have allowance all around half inch, and I'll use my lining to cover up, and I'll make my stitches from one zipper end. I will not be closing the zipper end to another. So I will sew on the neckline and on the armhole and stop on the zipper end. So after sewing on that, this is what I have. I iron it very well so that it stays flat, and I'll go ahead now and join the shoulder. I'll join the shoulder with half an inch, and I will trim it off so that it will be about 1/4 inch. So for the peplum, my waist circumference plus the zipper allowance is 35 inches, and I will be having my highest length of the peplum as 11 inches and my shortest length as 5 inches. So to the 11 inches, I will add 1 inch to hem, and to the 5 inches, I will add 1 inch to hem again. That is 6 inches. So I will divide my waist circumference, which is 35, by 6.28, and it will give me 5.57. So to know the amount of fabric to cut, that 5.57, I will multiply it by 2, and I will add my length, the highest and the lowest. So when I add it, I will be using a 5.57. I will round it up to 5.5 times 2 is 11, plus the highest length of 12 inches and 6 inches. It will give me 29 inches. So I cut out my fabric 29 inches on a square form on both sides, and when I fold it into these 4 parts, I have this. I've cut out this, and I've folded the 29 inches into 4. So I'm taking the highest length and I'm marking the highest from one tip to the other. Just watch what I'm doing. You will see I'm marking from one tip to the other. When I fold 29 inches into 2, you will have about 14.5. 14.5, that's what I'm marking. That's what I'm marking now. So I'll cut it out. I'll cut this out as 14.5. So I will not cut the waist radius now. Remember, I said my shortest length will be 5 inches plus the hemming allowance, that is 6 inches. 6 inches. Then I'll add that my waist circumference to it. And when I add it, I'll flip it up. See what I'm doing? I added 6 inches to my waist radius and I flip it off. So this is what I have now. The down and the up one, they are not of the same length. There are several methods you can use to cut this anyways, but this is one of the simplest methods. So right now I'm taking my waist circumference. You can now take your waist circumference now. I'll mark it around and I'll cut it out. So when I cut it out, you find out that I'll have one part short and the other part long. Just like what you see me doing. My waist circumference, I will cut it out now. And this is why you need to multiply your waist circumference by 2. If you had just added one part of the waist circumference, you'll find out that the down part will not be complete. But once you multiply it by 2, so one of it will go for the upper one, for the first one, second one will go for the highest one. So I've cut it out and this is what it looks like. As you can see, I have my shortest part and my lowest part. So for this high low I'm doing is by the side that the high and the low will be. This is how it will look like. And I will place it like so. The shorter will be on my left. But if you are doing high low for the front and the back, this is how you place it. The shortest will be on the front and the highest will be at the back. So you have to open up that longest part so that your zip will pass through the longest part. But since I'm doing by the side, I will open up one side so that this side will go at the back and serve as the zipper allowance. So I hope I just made sense with my explanation. Just add the both length and add your waist circumference, multiply by 2. That's how you get the amount of fabric to put on foot. And when you cut it out, you do not cut out the waist circumference. You have to flip up and cut out your waist circumference. Just watch the video over again to understand what I did. So this is what I'll use to cut out on the African print. This is the lining, and after cutting out, I have my lining and I have my African print. When I open up, this is how it looks, and I will use that lining to turn the edges of this African print. I'll place them right side facing each other, the shiny part to the good side of the African print, and I'll sew with 1/2 inch. And after sewing, I will top stitch to the lining side. So I've sewn this and I've top stitched to this lining side and I've ironed. You see how neat it is? One side is short, the other side is long. So this is how it looks like when I fix it. And now if I measure my length, if I measure the short one, I will have 6 inches. If I measure the long one, I will have 11.5 inches. You see it? So after fixing, the long will be 11 inches and the short will be about 5.5 inches, which is okay by me. And for my net, I've already pre-cut my net. Each of them is 10 yards and the length is 17 inches. I'm working with a length of 25 inches and I've already taken out 9.5 inches for the upper part, so the remaining one will be about 15.5 inches. So I added extra 1.5 inches to the length to help me to join to the upper part. When I open up like this, I'll go and gather or ruffle 2 of them, and when I ruffle each of them, I've joined both of them, and I also cut out a half circle for the satin that I'll use to line it. I cut out 2. One will be for my lining and one will be for lining the net. I'll place the shiny part of it on the net and I will sew. I will join them together. So since all my pieces are ready, I will bring my peplum and my upper bodice and I'll match them right side facing each other. I will not be joining it together with the lining. I'll start from one end. Either you pleat or you ruffle. You pleat or you ruffle. So I would do that and I'll sew. And to my lining, I will join to the lining side. So this is exactly what I was talking. You add excess fabric to your waist allowance to have that ruffle, or join that excess fabric to ruffle it. So I'll bring my net as well and join on top of this, and after that I'll fix my zipper and this dress will be ready. I have a video on how to fix this zipper on the channel. So this is what I have after doing that. As you can see, it's already looking beautiful. Have you watched up to this point and you've not subscribed? What are you waiting for? Please kindly hit on the subscribe button and endeavor to turn your notification bell on so as to be the first to watch my videos whenever I post one. Thank you for watching up to this point, and I will see you in my next video. Keep doing good, keep being fine, and bye.